Hello and welcome to a rather exotic edition of the Flying Reporter Aerodrome Review. As you can see, we are over the sea. We're crossing the Irish Sea from Blackpool to Ronaldsway on the Isle of Man. I'm visiting the Isle of Man today.
The Flying Reporter YouTube channel is made possible thanks to the support of my friends at Anglian Flight Centres. This Aerodrome review is sponsored by AOPA UK. The Isle of Man is a small island in the Irish Sea to the west of Blackpool. It's one of the British Isles, but not part of the United Kingdom. It is in fact a self-governing Crown dependency.
So I'm in my slow climb out just about 7 miles west of Blackpool. It's a direct track all the way to Ronaldsway. I'm getting as high as I can. I'm going to see if I can get up to 10,000 feet,
November 5, Papa,
which will give me the best gliding,
through the water,
best glide for the crossing. It's about 60 miles across the sea here, hence why I'm wearing the life jacket. And I suspect you'll want to know what all the procedures are for crossing over to the Isle of Man, whether you need a GAR or flight plan, so I'll explain that for you now.
So there are a few things that make this a bit different, a bit more complicated than, say, a flight across the Channel to France. I'll do my best to go through it all, explain it all, but the rules, email addresses and procedures do change, so make sure you're referencing the latest official guidance. And I know that they are consulting on changes to all of this right now, so things could have altered quite a bit by the time you go ahead and fly. I'll put some of the links in the video description to the official websites that I've used to put all this together for you. So I'm going to focus here on private flights from the UK mainland to the Isle of Man. If it's a commercial flight, or if you're flying from, say, Northern Ireland, Ireland, or the Channel Islands, for example, the rules are a bit different. So you can fly between the UK mainland and the Isle of Man from most airfields that are designated for customs, or airfields that have a certificate of agreement with the Border Force. If your airfield has a certificate of agreement, it's really important to check that flights to and from the Isle of Man are permitted on that certificate. Check with your aerodrome. Now, when it comes to GAR forms, it is a bit of a mess, I'm afraid. Personally, I would recommend sending a GAR form to both the Isle of Man and the UK authorities 12 hours in advance, whichever way you're going, regardless of what Skydemon or other services say. Technically speaking, if you're flying from a police designated airport in the UK, the requirements are different. But it is completely confusing, the guidance is contradictory, and if you don't want to get banged up for terrorism offences, I'd advise just sticking to the 12-hour GARs both ways to both jurisdictions. That way you can't go far wrong. Technically speaking, because I departed from Blackpool, which the UK regards as a police designated airfield, I don't think I had to send any GARs, and Skydemon didn't prompt me to do so. But coming back the other way, it is a minefield. According to the Isle of Man guidance, you don't need a GAR, but UK guidance states that you do 12 hours in advance. That's because the UK doesn't recognise the Isle of Man as being police designated. Now, this really does need to be sorted out, but for now, like I say, for safety's sake, just send a GAR both ways to both jurisdictions 12 hours in advance to be safe. Now, immigration. The Isle of Man is part of the Common Travel Area, maintains a customs union with the UK, and UK citizens don't need a passport to enter. You should have some form of recognised ID though. In terms of flight plans, because the Isle of Man is in the London FIR, we're not crossing an international border, and so filing a flight plan before takeoff isn't mandatory, but as I'm flying overseas further than 10 miles from the coast, a flight plan is strongly advised. It makes things easier for Isle of Man air traffic controllers too. Of course, because the Isle of Man is in Class D airspace, that does need a flight plan to enter, but you can file an abbreviated flight plan over the radio as you would to enter any other Class D airspace in the London FIR. Finally, PPR and handling. According to the Isle of Man AIP, PPR is not required, but it is mandatory to arrange handling. We'll talk about that a little later. I've just released a deep dive video for my Supporters Club channel talking about flight plans and GAR forms. So if you haven't filed them before and want to know how to go about it, go and check that out. You can get 1 month's free access to the club and all the bonus content now on my website. Another benefit of the Supporters Club is that you get to watch my videos both advert and sponsorship free. So back to the flight, and I've begun my gradual power-on descent towards Ronaldsway. You have to look after those cylinders, you know. I'm approaching their Class D airspace, and I need my clearance to enter it.
Ronaldsway approach, Golf Bravo Mike India Victor, PA28, inbound with November, QNH 1018.
Golf Bravo Mike India Victor, Ronaldsway radar, good afternoon, and you're identified. You have a basic service outside controlled airspace, Ronaldsway QNH 1018.
Basic service, QNH 1018, Golf India Victor.
Golf Bravo Mike India Victor, clear to enter Ronaldsway controlled airspace, VFR, continuing the descent, there is IFR traffic vectoring inbound.
Roger, clear to enter VFR and copy traffic, Golf India Victor.
I'm asked to route towards the lighthouse to the south of the airport. Having been at 10,000 feet, I've planned my top of descent to put me at 2,000 feet on reaching it.
Golf India Victor, report the lighthouse in sight.
Wilco, Golf India Victor. I can't see I can see where the lighthouse is supposed to be. I can't see the lighthouse.
I found Dreswick Point Lighthouse quite difficult to spot until I was pretty much on top of it, but its location on the peninsula means it shouldn't be hard to find.
Ronaldsway Tower, Golf Bravo Mike India Victor.
Golf Bravo Mike India Victor, Ronaldsway Tower, and hold orbit at the lighthouse, say number 2.
Hold at the lighthouse number 2, Golf India Victor.
The lighthouse cottages used to be owned by TV's Jeremy Clarkson. He doesn't like light aircraft, I'm told, so it's fitting that it's now a VRP that I'm being made to circle above.
Golf India Victor, report final, your number 2 to the ATR traffic on short final, course your way at turbulence, recommended distance 4 miles.
Roger, report final number 2, traffic in sight, Golf India Victor.
As with every large airport you visit, it's wise to research the airfield diagram before landing, as the taxiing instructions can be longer than you're used to.
Golf India Victor, vacate right taxiway Charlie, and then left on Alpha to area Victor.
Right onto Charlie, left on Alpha to area Victor, Golf India Victor.
I mentioned earlier that there's mandatory handling at the Isle of Man. I'm being looked after by 3 Legs Aviation Services, and they have a small apron in Area Victor.
Now, the Isle of Man has got a bit of a reputation of being a bit not very easy for GA flyers to come in, but the last few years a new outfit called 3 Legs Aviation was set up to do, because they have mandatory handling here, to do all the handling for GA, and that's great because it keeps the costs down, because we're not being charged sort of big handling prices. Normally it would be Mark, who's got a great reputation on the Sky Demon pilot notes, who, you know, great friend of GA. Normally it would be Mark, but Mark has decided to get on a plane and go somewhere himself, so instead we have the lovely Ian.
Hello.
So what does you help Mark out?
Yeah, I help Mark out.
What does three Legs do then for GA? What basics?
So we provide all the general handling, help you with the inbound, help you with the briefing coming in, if anyone's nervous of ATC or crossing the water, any approaches. So any help we can provide, booking airports, taxi, transport. You name it, he does it.
And they do it for a really reasonable price, so that's excellent for GA. So things are a bit brighter for GA, I'd say, at the Isle of Man in terms of that. And I think at the moment this is all you've got, this kind of bit of apron here next to the jet centre. There's a toilet in the museum I think we can use sometimes, but not always. So we're a bit short on facilities here.
Yeah,
but
more coming.
There's more coming.
Watch
yeah.
this space.
Yeah, the plan is to make it a bit more.
Yeah. Need more people, and that'll help build out the facilities.
Yeah. Great, and Ian has very kindly offered to take me to my hotel, so that's fantastic. Let's go in.
In the interests of transparency, I wanted to let you know that the Isle of Man government has put a little money towards the making of this aerodrome review because they would like to see more of you visit. And I'll be exploring what the island has to offer shortly. I'll also have news of a special free landing offer at the Isle of Man this September 2023. The Flying Reporter Aerodrome Review Series is sponsored by AOPA UK, the membership association for pilots, aircraft owners, aerodromes and aviation businesses. AOPA is a truly international organisation that works around the world to ensure we, as general aviation pilots, can continue to fly, as we have done today, to locations like the Isle of Man. If you want to support AOPA UK's work, as I do, then sign up now for a 1 or 2 year membership. Flying Reporter followers can get 25% off by using the QR code on the screen, the link in the top right of the picture, or the link in the video description.
I think it's fair to say that Ronaldsway here is the only GA airfield in the Isle of Man. There's Jerby to the northwest, I think that's closed now. Andreas is a disused airfield which they use for gliding. Ronaldsway here is a full service international airfield. It's got instrument approaches to both runways, it's got lighting for night flying, and there are flights that go from here to the UK, Ireland, Northern Ireland, and there are some European flights as well.
The aerodrome is run by the Isle of Man government, and it recently took on a new airport director who says he's keen to change its reputation with general aviation pilots.
I'm told that you have a bit of a reputation of being a bit anti-GA. Is that deserved, do you think?
So I think in the past, because we do commercial scheduled movements, there's been the perception that we're not as friendly as some of the grass strip airports, but GA play an important part here at the Isle of Man. My previous role was Chief Operating Officer for Highlands and Islands Airports Limited, where the GA community played quite a big part in what we did, particularly in the likes of Isla, Campbelltown. And again, I can see a future here where GA and scheduled commercial traffic can live together, and actually we need both at the Isle of Man in order to thrive and move forward.
GA pilots just want to be loved, Gary. We just want to be loved and feel like we're welcome. And sometimes that's just an attitude thing, isn't it, really? And the facilities here for GA are a bit limited, I'd say. When we parked over by Area Victor, we were looked after by Mark and Ian, but not a lot there really for us. There's nowhere to take shelter particularly, you know, or toilets and things. Is that something you're looking at?
Yeah, and I agree. The facilities aren't great for a GA. We're currently in the process. We have an expressions of interest out for. We have a lot of land at the airport that's underutilised. We think a big portion of that could be used for GA, BizJet, and other opportunities that are aviation linked. We're just out there trying to get as many opinions for ideas, and then we're more than happy to work with people to get them in. Be that serviced hangars, even down to we've had interest from hangar homes, which is something again we're willing to look at and see the merits of.
And maybe some facilities for visitors as well.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. In terms of facilities for them to, for like welfare, food, beverage and stuff like that. In the terminal, it's pretty good. So we're about probably a 5 to 10 minute walk from Area Victor. We have a cafe upstairs. We have car hire. And then we've got very good transport links into Douglas and the wider Isle of Man. The bus network on the Isle of Man is really, really good.
But if you want to travel in style, just a 10-minute walk from the airport is Ronaldsway Holt train station.
This is fun, isn't it?
And it's not any old train station. It's a request stop for the Isle of Man steam train service. You have to wave at the driver for them to pick you up. The train runs 4 to 6 times a day between Douglas and Port Erin via Castletown. I'm travelling with Hannah Lowe-Bayo, who is the airport's commercial director.
It's not quite the Elizabeth line, is it? So this is very novel, Hannah. I wouldn't say this is the most practical and... speedy way to get around, but what a wonderful little treasure to have.
It is, and it's 150 years old this year, so they're celebrating the 150th anniversary of the steam trains, which is just fantastic to have the original rolling stock still going. And look, people waving.
Wouldn't it be just great if you kind of flew in here and then you had a hotel maybe in Castletown or even in Douglas, because it goes up to Douglas,
It goes to Douglas as well, yeah.
And this is how you got there.
This is your mode of transport to get there, yeah.
I think that this is something I have to do with the family because it would be so much fun. They won't believe me as I walk down that track that we're about to jump on a steam train to our hotel.
We use the island's Go Explore card, which allows you unlimited travel on the buses or steam trains. If you get the 5-day card, not only do you have unlimited travel, but it grants you 5 days access to all Manx National Heritage attractions. The cards are available to purchase from the information desks in the airport terminal.
As we walk into Castletown from our steam train, if that wasn't wacky enough, I've just heard that they do like a tin bath rowing competition or something down the river. I think quirky is how I would describe the Isle of Man from what I've seen so far.
Castletown is the former capital of the Isle of Man. As well as being famous for its bath races, it's known for Castle Rushen, one of the best preserved medieval castles in the world. Its winding streets, picturesque fishing cottages and harbour make Castletown a perfect place for a stroll. I was invited to the Isle of Man by private pilot and local politician Stu Peters. Stu is a member of the House of Keys, a member of the island's parliament, in other words. Stu took me to one of the island's most famous landmarks, the Laxey Wheel, the largest surviving original working water wheel in the world.
So the Laxey Wheel, Stu.
It's
a bit of Isle of Man heritage.
Well, it is. People think about the Isle of Man, either motorbikes, cats with no tails, or the Laxey Wheel, so we're at the third of them.
I've seen very few motorbikes. I've seen no cats with no tails. But the Laxey Wheel,
Fantastic.
We've got one of the three.
Yay.
And it's part of the old mining infrastructure.
It is, yeah. We used to have miles, we've still got miles of mines under our feet here. And the Laxey Wheel was connected via all sorts of props and things up to a pumping station further up the hill, and it literally drained the mines.
You invited me to the Isle of Man. You wanted me to see this and other things. Why was that?
Because I think that the Isle of Man is, I mean, we call it the jewel of the Irish Sea, but an awful lot of people don't really know where the Isle of Man is even, and they know even less about the place. Up until the 1960s, we had a huge tourist industry, but then when jet aircraft and cheap holidays to Spain came in, that was kind of the end of that. So we're now looking at niche tourism, people that want to come on walking holidays or heritage rail holidays, things like that. But also as a private pilot, I mean, I'm not Manx, I was born in Manchester, but I learned to fly at Barton in 1985, and this was our version of Latouquet.
So you want to see a kind of revival for general aviation at the Isle of Man?
It developed a bit of a reputation for being sticky, and I think that there were probably good reasons for that, with prevention of terrorism, and you know, you had to go through special branch, and even now you have to file a GAR form well in advance of your trip. But I just think it's such a great place, such a great destination. So even if you get stuck here with weather, there's plenty to do. It's not as though you're on an airfield at the edge of the Russian steppes somewhere. So yeah, I would like to see the Isle of Man used much more by GA people, either as a destination in itself or as a stopping off point on the way to Ireland or back.
If what you've seen so far has whetted your appetite for a visit to the Isle of Man, and if my guide has made you feel more at ease about visiting, then you may be interested in a special offer. To promote GA to the Isle of Man, the airport is offering free landing fees for weekends in September 2023 for aircraft under 2.5 tonnes. Your takeoff and landings must be between 9 AM local time on Saturday and 3 PM on Sunday. What's more, Three Legs Handling is offering half-price handling fees for weekends in September. You'll pay just £10 plus VAT and parking charges of £5 plus VAT per 24 hours or part thereof. Before leaving the Isle of Man, I had a chance to quickly look around the Manx Aviation and Military Museum. The friendly volunteers there helped to preserve the stories of the island's contributions during the 2 World Wars and the role of civilian aviation. A section of the museum is dedicated to the Manx Light Anti-Aircraft Unit, which was the only British regiment to be fighting on the first and final day of World War II. Entrance to the museum is free, but donations are welcomed. The museum is open daily through the summer months.
It's been great fun visiting the Isle of Man. And I don't know about you, when you cross a body of water, be it the Solent, the English Channel, or in this case the Irish Sea, it does feel as if you've been on holiday. If you'd like me to come and visit your airfield, then get in touch through my website. And if you're looking for inspiration of new places to visit yourself, then my website has a list of the airfields I've visited and also a map view, so you can take your pick.
My thanks to the Isle of Man Government, the airport management and 3 Legs Handling for helping facilitate this video. And thanks to AOPA UK for sponsoring the series. That's all for now. Fly safely, my friends.